Welcome back, everyone. If you're prepping for your NET or SET exams, you already know the drill. The history of evolutionary biology can sometimes feel like you're just memorizing a massive, dry phone book of names and dates. But today, in this explainer, we're totally changing that. We're going to transform that overwhelming list into a cohesive, chronological story. Think of it like a giant relay race of ideas. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll have a mental map to absolutely hack those tricky matching questions on test day. All right, let's jump right in.
So, here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll trace the baton pass of evolutionary theory, starting with early ideas, hit the Darwinian breakthrough, dive into the genetic engine, and explore the modern synthesis. Then, we'll cover some recent evolutionary twists and wrap it all up with what I call the golden exam sequence. Let's do it.
Starting right off with Section 1, Early Evolutionary Ideas, and the foundational thinkers who got the ball rolling.
You know, it's wild how far back these concepts actually go. The very first puzzle pieces were laid down by Aristotle with his great chain of being. Then Carolus Linnaeus stepped up, our father of classification, giving us binomial nomenclature. Pretty soon after, Buffon tossed in early transformist ideas, essentially saying, hey, species actually can change based on their environment. And we absolutely can't forget Charles Darwin's granddad, Erasmus Darwin, who was already dropping hints about common descent way before it was mainstream.
Now, Charles Darwin didn't just pull his theory out of thin air, right? He had some major influences. Georges Cuvier proved extinction was real with his idea of catastrophism. Charles Lyell brought in uniformitarianism, proving the Earth changes incredibly slowly over vast stretches of time. And then there's Thomas Malthus. Malthus pointed out that population growth naturally outpaces resources. That Malthusian idea of intense competition, that was the exact spark needed for the struggle for existence. It was absolutely crucial.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Darwinian breakthrough. This is the big paradigm shift. Okay, listen up, because this right here is a classic exam trap. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck actually put together the first systematic evolutionary theory, but his whole mechanism was based on the use and disuse of organs, right? Which he thought led to acquired characters being passed down. We know now that's not quite how it works. The real breakthrough came independently from Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace. They both cracked the code with the mechanism we all know: evolution by natural selection.
When you lay it out on a timeline, it's crazy how fast the baton was passed. We jump from Lamarck's ideas in 1809 straight to Darwinian selection in 1859, and almost instantly into the next era of genetics by 1865. It's just a rapid-fire progression of human thought. But here's the massive cliffhanger of the 19th century. Darwin beautifully explained the why of evolution, but he was missing a colossal piece of the puzzle. Exactly how were these advantageous traits getting passed down to the next generation? I mean, the guy had no idea what genes were.
And that perfectly tees up Section 3, the genetic engine. Time for some microscopic discoveries.
Step 1 to solving Darwin's problem: Gregor Mendel. He hands us the genetic basis of evolution with his laws of heredity. Then, for step 2, August Weismann steps in with the germplasm theory. He strictly separated germline from somatic cells, basically proving that, getting super buff at the gym doesn't mean your baby is born with huge biceps. That effectively put the final nail in Lamarck's theory. Finally, step 3, Thomas Hunt Morgan maps all of this directly to chromosomes, cementing the chromosomal theory of inheritance.
Right around this same time, Hugo de Vries enters the chat with his mutation theory. He figured out that evolution could also be driven by sudden, distinct genetic mutations, not just slow changes. Quick exam tip for you: whenever you see a matching question, strictly pair Hugo de Vries with mutation theory. Literally a guaranteed point for your exam.
Moving right along to Section 4, the modern synthesis. This is where we start unifying evolution.
To get to this epic Avenger-style team-up of 20th century biology, they had to prove the math first. R.A. Fisher merged genetics with natural selection. J.B.S. Haldane pushed the mathematical theory of evolution even further. And then Sewell Wright threw in these game-changing concepts like genetic drift and the founder effect. Together, these three pioneers mathematically proved that Darwin's evolution and Mendel's genetics work perfectly together in large populations.
And all that hardcore math paved the way for the modern synthetic theory. Theodosius Dobzhansky masterfully tied genetics directly into Darwinian evolution. Ernst Mayr gave us the biological species concept, defining how species actually form. And George Gaylord Simpson brought the fossil record into the mix. Together, those three forged the ultimate integration, the modern synthetic theory, the whole shebang.
Which leads us to Section 5, recent evolutionary twists, because the story doesn't stop there. Fast forward a bit, and Moto Kimura adds this really cool nuance with his neutral theory of molecular evolution. He suggested that down at the molecular level, a lot of evolutionary change is actually just random drift of neutral mutant alleles, not natural selection. Meanwhile, Eldridge and Gould totally shook up our view of the timeline with punctuated equilibrium. They basically said, hey, evolution isn't always a slow crawl. Sometimes it's long periods of stasis interrupted by incredibly rapid bursts of change.
And finally, Section 6, the golden exam sequence. Consider this your ultimate cheat code.
Look, if you only take one single thing away from this explainer for your net and set exams, it needs to be these next couple of slides. Lock this exact sequence into your brain. We start with Lamarck's use and disuse. The baton goes to Darwin and Wallace for natural selection. Then we zoom way in with Mendel's laws of inheritance, pass it to De Vries for mutation theory, and hand it to Morgan for chromosomal theory.
And the relay race sprints into the 20th century. Fisher and Haldane tackle population genetics, Wright gives us genetic drift, then Dobzhansky, Mayer, and Simpson synthesize the whole thing. Finally, Kimura steps up with neutral theory, and Gould and Eldridge anchor it with punctuated equilibrium. Honestly, just recite this exact progression a few times before you walk into the exam hall. You'll thank me later.
Seriously, grab your phone and take a screenshot of this master recap right now. I'll wait. These are the absolute high-yield keywords you have to instantly match on test day. Lamarck, use and disuse. Darwin, natural selection. Wright, genetic drift. Mayer, biological species concept. You see one, you instantly look for the other. It's that simple. As you head into your exams, I want you to remember something. You aren't just memorizing a bunch of dusty, static facts. You are studying a vibrant, ongoing relay race of human genius. We've traced the puzzle from Aristotle's ancient hierarchies all the way to Gould's punctuated equilibrium. But evolution is continuously happening, and so is our understanding of it, which really makes you wonder, what breathtaking breakthrough will the next generation of scientists, maybe even one of you watching right now, add to this timeline? Keep studying, keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.